If you heal the gut, if you work on the other things, you absolutely can reintroduce many different foods. In fact, I would go as far as to say you can introduce the majority of foods, assuming that you don't have an allergy. Some people will not be able to introduce dairy again.
Yep.
Almost none will have, like, especially autoimmune patients, they won't have a lot of success with the gluten thing either, unless they're in like international. Like if they're in Europe, it seems to work. USA, I don't know if I'd mess with that. But there's 170 something things tested on that MRT. I have seen almost everything get implemented again, minus the wheat and sometimes dairy. So yeah, absolutely true that it can be healed.
Yeah, it just shows us again how, if we take care of our bodies and put the right stuff in it, we can be healthier long-term and add other stuff later. I mean, so if you're going to go strict, I'm a big, when I think about anti-inflammatory diets, I think the most anti-inflammatory diet I can think of is a carnivore diet.
Cool.
I know there's some people that are against it, but I mean, I've never, and you can comment on this, I've never seen somebody that's allergic to red meat. Some people are allergic to chicken. Some people are allergic to pork. But I've never seen somebody sensitive to red meat. So, a strict elimination diet, eat red meat and until your body kind of heals, and maybe add some things later. I think that's a great elimination diet to weed out any sensitivities.
Yeah, it's an interesting point about the beef, because you're right. The only time I've ever seen, and you can argue this isn't even normal, some people, when they get Lyme disease, they'll end up developing like a long-term sensitivity to beef. But even that isn't usually an allergy. And you're right, I don't see that one frequently. So the thing is too, people will say, well, our ancestors had a variety of stuff. Okay, I'm not arguing you. I agree with that. You need to adopt to what we're doing in today's world. Today's world I'm not fear-mongering. This is not a good situation, because plants typically, for example, like a lot of the vegans will advocate this, right? They have nutrients. Okay, true. But plants, when they undergo photosynthesis, also absorb toxins from the environment. They are detoxifiers for our environment. They pick up heavy metals from the soil. They pick up all the crap from the soil. So here's an issue. The plants have less nutrition than ever before because we've destroyed our soil, but they still have the ability to pick up the toxins. So the plants are more toxic than ever before. They're less nutritious. So it's like, would the carnivore thing have been something that our ancestors did long-term in the past? Probably not. But what you're saying, I think, is accurate, because in today's world, you lose a lot of that toxic load, because especially ironically, even though organ meats are great, if you're not sourcing them correctly, organ meats would be where you're handling a lot of the toxins. So the muscle meat of a calf or a cow is not going to be like filled with toxins, even if it's lower quality meat. I'm not recommending getting low quality meat. I'm just saying people kind of overhype that. The meat's still the meat. Like, it's not being stored in that kind of stuff. And so I've seen it work wonders for people. And I like what you worded it as. It's an elimination diet. Let's get you feeling better rapidly, because some people will feel better rapidly. And if you're on carnivore, let's be honest, you're almost certainly going to get into a state of ketosis, which is anti-inflammatory. So for someone that might be coming from standard American and sick to carnivore ketosis, you can change your whole life in 2 weeks doing something like that. You might feel the best you've ever felt.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Well, and on that subject, I think one of the things we forget about plants is that, as animals like cows or elk or any herding animal, their bodies are more developed to digest those plants. And they've got rumens and different digestive processes than we do as humans. Now, as humans, I do believe we're omnivores. I don't believe we're not obligate carnivores, and we're definitely not vegans. So I think having a well-rounded diet is good, but I also think that probably being heavier on meat is probably even better, because use those animals to detoxify those plants that have become toxic. I mean, animals have been doing that for thousands of years, and we can use them to do their process, so we're not eating the toxic plants.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that you believe in the past that it was probably more of an omnivore thing. That's kind of what we see. I mean, if you go back to Weston A. Price days when he was studying the indigenous tribes, you did see omnivores. Now, these are people that don't have or didn't have connection with Western society. They're not being taught what to eat in nutrition school. They didn't get forced to eat a certain way or go to the grocery store. This is what these humans did naturally. And he found that the only thing that was true across the board for them is they all ate animal products. That was the only consistency.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I will argue, and I get a lot of flack for this because there's so many diets that have become religions. Mm-hmm. And speaking of ketosis, keto diet has become a religion for some people. Mm-hmm. And if you start talking, any kind of negative stuff about ketogenic diet, you just get haters out there. Well, and vegans are about the same too. And I will argue that there's never been a culture or a tribe or a group of people that sustain themselves on fruit and vegetables alone. I think it's very, very difficult.